Halló, gaman að sjá ykkur öll. Hann nafni minn sem er svona prótokólmeistari sagði að ég ætti að koma úr svið. Segi ykkur við byrjum eftir 10 mínútur og hvet ykkur til að fá ykkur drykki. Áfengi niðri og ófengi niðri uppi. Það þurfum að einhver að keyra heim en ekkert endilega allir. Júhú!
Welcome. I'm not going to speak in Icelandic and show how retarded I am. So I'm going to speak in English. We're very happy to have you all. I'm very excited to see what Step A is going to talk to us about. I've been a big fan of what Stefan has been doing for more than 2 decades now. It's funny to say that I've been in Iceland for 2 decades, almost. As many roles I've played in building the startup community here, one thing that I really cherish is working with founders. And Stefan and a bunch of others who are here, who are founders, I say that, building new things always starts somewhere. And I'm very excited that we have this massive technology in front of us called AI. And there's lots of things talked about AI, but I think if there's anything, I think Step A has probably been the one who's been talking about it a lot longer. And I know this because we've had too many nerd sessions talking about what this thing is and how to build this and all that. You're not here to listen to me. I'm just going to hand over the mic to Step A, and he's going to take it forward. I'm excited to see what he's going to talk about. And by the way, I have no idea. So I'm in the same boat as you all. So, yes, sir, Step A.
Unbelievably nice to see you all here today. We are all extremely excited to tell you what we are up to. Hopefully you all hear me. I'll grab the microphone in just a bit. Now, this will be extra informal. Heckling is allowed, and questions are allowed at any time. This is possibly better. I'm going to do this in English, mostly because we have part of our team abroad watching this over the interwebs. We're going to do this slightly differently than we have done for the past 2 years. I get to speak a little bit more, so this is why the seats. I won't speak for 2 hours, no worries. But, and we're going to have a split screen here. So we're both going to talk a little bit about what we at Smart Data or Snjallvöku are doing. Traditionally, that's what we have done at Snjallvaka. But we're also going to talk about the state of affairs in AI, what the primary unlocks that we have seen in the past year, and where we think this is all heading. So split screen, and you'll see what I mean by that in a while, and how all of this comes together. I'm hoping that at the end of this session, you will understand where we're coming from, what has changed in our journey, the unlocks that have happened, where we're going, and that you will see that we are almost uniquely positioned to do what we are about to do. To explain what I mean by that, I want to tell you the story of Smart Data just a little bit. And to prepare for this, I had to look at old slides, go through our history, and as I was picking up material for this first bit, I was reminded of this picture so many times, that our journey has not been a straight line, not at all. And that if we classify what we have as success, it's certainly only for now. So a lot of experiments, research, development, of course, but first a small recap on how we got here. And there are probably not many of you that know us, and some of you are probably here for the first Snjallvaka, even though there are a lot of familiar faces, and I appreciate you coming back now for the 3rd time. So we started almost 5 years ago, and we went by another name then, or we had a product with another name then. It was Quick Lookup. And in this product, we set out to fix world data. This may not tell you much, but it was our worldview that companies are so fixated in looking inwards in the mirror when they were trying to analyze sales, analyze all of the things, that they forgot to look at the external factors, the demand drivers and all the other things that, you know, currency exchange rates, unemployment rates, all the things that explain us as a society. And they forgot to take this into the mix. And we wanted to make it extra simple for them to use this data. So we set on a journey to fix this. Extremely thankful to Tæknithróunarsjóður, which gave us a grant to work on this. This was basically external contextual data for AI and data science was this project, and we started and we developed what I think was a great product. And at the same time,
You have to keep closer or we have to turn up the volume.
better. I take that as a yes. And it was a beautiful product. And at the same time, we were extremely fortunate to get another grant from Máltækniáætlun, or the NLP program of the government, to look into another issue, another problem, which is called entity linking, or my favorite acronym in all of IT. Of course, it's NERD. So NERD stands for Named Entity Recognition and Disambiguation. And this will probably not tell you much, but I can tell you this is the most important bit of natural language processing that is still missing. And it's the ability to, based on context, to know what is being discussed. To give you an example of this, if I ask all of you, what do you think of Jón Sigurðsson? At least two should come to mind, if not 3 or 4 or 5, that I could be referring to. And if I say, you know, the one, the bishop, nobody knows Jón Sigurðsson was one of our worst bishops, right? But the singer, you know, he was he is not the best formaður Framsóknarflokksins there ever has been. And all of a sudden you realize that there are at least 5, and based on the context, we need to know which one we're talking about. Why is this important? It's essential. If we're going to do any kind of knowledge gathering from text, we need to know, not only be able to get the knowledge in the text, and this is now doable with large language models, but we need to know to what entity we're going to link that knowledge to. And if this isn't done right, there are so many parts missing. Anyway, don't want to go into details regarding this, but we got to research this and do a lot of development around it. And I cannot, for the life of me, understand why this part is still missing from the Máltækniáætlun. For me, it's an essential part. If we are to go through old manuscripts and old newspapers and old whatever, and get some kind of knowledge representation or gather the knowledge there, this needs to be solved. Anyway, then we continued with on the quick lookup journey, and we created this beautiful product. Spoiler alert: nobody wanted to buy it. We gave up. Okay, so but bear with me. So it's the effortless way to fetch external data and use it with whatever data set. And we created an Excel plugin as an example on how easy it would be to use this. And for sentimental reasons, I'm now going to show you the demo video we created. And this was, you know, now a long time ago.
Welcome to a quick lookup product preview, June 21.
Sorry, I did that deliberately. So this is June 21 that we thought we had a product, right? Okay, we still don't, but... So. No,
Welcome to a quick lookup product preview, June 21. I'm Snjallvaka, the CEO of Quick Lookup and your host for the preview. Let's start with a brief introduction to Quick Lookup. When businesses analyze their data, they rely on external data from countless sources, context, and obtain a complete field of view. Quick Lookup is a new data service that makes this external data readily and instantly available from a single source. To achieve this, we combine and curate business-relevant information from open knowledge bases into a single business-focused knowledge graph. We enhance that with the best available data from open and closed sources to ensure that business-relevant topics are fully covered. Then, we uniquely bridge data from two currently disconnected domains when we automatically link entities and topics in our graph to time series-based data from a wide range of publishers and aggregators. The Quick Lookup data service is made available to business analysts, data engineers, and data scientists with plugins or extensions for tools they already use and love. This way, Quick Lookup seamlessly fits their workflow, and we can drastically cut the time they spend on cleaning and enriching data, freeing up their valuable time to focus on the data analysis itself. In this short product preview, we'll be using the Quick Lookup Excel extension.
Það sem við erum að gera hérna er að hér erum við með alls konar gögn. Við erum með símanúmer, lattlong, IP-tölur, nöfn á einhverjum borgum, alls konar hluti. Og það sem við erum að gera hérna með kerfin okkar í þessu Excel-pluginni er að við erum að biðja kerfið að fletta upp og segja okkur hvort það þekki þessi gögn, bara sjálfkrafa. Og þið sjáu hérna, hún þekkir slatta af gögnunum sjálfkrafa og svo segjum við með því að gefa henni hint þá klárum við nánast öll þessi tilfelli nema eitt. Þannig að við erum búin að taka alls konar gerðir af gögnum og við erum búin að skilja hvað er verið að tala í gögnunum þegar kemur að staðsetningu. Það er að segja landi og borg. Þetta er bara byrjunin, af því að núna eigum við þá tengingu við þessa hluti og við getum farið og við getum náð í allar upplýsingar hlutina sem við erum að tala um. Og ekki bara þetta, heldur hvað allt sem birtist hérna er alls konar upplýsingar er hægt að ná inn í Excel-skjalið á þess að hafa nokkuð fyrir því. Og þarna erum við að vinna með þekkingagraf, hang on. Why didn't anybody tell me? So we're basically looking up all this information and we are getting population information, for example. And we are effortlessly looking up data. First, we are cleaning up this data, we're linking it, and then we are fetching whatever external data we want to use for this purpose. And you will understand later in this presentation why contextual and situational awareness and knowledge graph are essential in what needs to happen in AI. This all ties back to what I'm about to tell you a little bit later on. So we can even go and fetch the currency exchange rates, and there is this last little piece missing here that, as I say, this is for sentimental value reasons, so bear with me. So we can now even fetch the currency exchange rates. We can link them in with the currency that's used in these locations. And you will see in just a bit that we can even make it streamed data in there. So from real time data streams from real markets, we are fetching the currency exchange rates and updating them on the fly. So anyway, this was Quick Lookup. So it's not a question. No, just checking. But it's a good thing. I just want to remind you, if you have questions at any point, please feel free to ask them. So we built this, we solved some hard problems there. We didn't find traction, and we constantly were asked the same question, typically by people that don't understand data. And the question was, how would businesses use this external data? They didn't understand the value it unlocks to be able to not just look in the mirror to understand what's happening, but actually look at the world outside
to see demand drivers and causation and all of those external things that usually get left out. So September 12th, 2022, we were kind of out of money, didn't get the traction for this that we looked at, and we had a session. And the team decided that this question, how would businesses use this data, would actually be our next answer. That we would build a system where we could look at the internal data and the external data at the same time to give this context, to give this important context. So we pivoted. And at the same time, we kind of retired the quick lookup name and started to use Snjallvöku or smart data a lot more. And we created this product or platform where all of this was combined in one with three extremely important elements to it. The core building blocks were, of course, premium service for operational data, context and ontology for the external data, and advanced data science and AI to understand what was going on. Then we met 2 years ago. And when we met at Snjallvaka 2 years ago, so I'm extremely pleased on how many of you have turned up. Thank you so much. Would you please raise your hands if you were here 2 years ago? Thank you. If you were here 1 year ago. Thank you all for coming back. Thanks to the newcomers as well to be with us for the first time. So 2 years ago, we showed off this system that had this internal data with external data, with prediction models that could be greatly improved because they understood what was going on, the weather. We used the example of Vestmannaeyjar and what was happening around Goslokaháttíð and Þjóðhátíð to drastically improve prediction models. Then we did sentiment analysis. This is early days for GPT. And we did all kinds of classification and things like that, which we showed up at the same time. And we also, 2 years ago, showed a conversational SQL or dashboards where you can just ask the system about data and it would get data for you, results for that. And we also showed off our first agent, the first proper, in our opinion, the first proper GPT-based agent that was doing tool calling and structured outputs way before that was announced or introduced by OpenAI by themselves. Then we launched a website for the context suite, and a year ago we did a little bit more. And this again, it's all essential to what we're going to do next. We showed off real-time data analytics on very big data sets. In Icelandic account, I don't want to use big data because I think no Icelandic company has big data, not even close. But we were there with billions of metrics, hundreds of millions of records, and everything we did was instantaneous. We showed off conversational BI, where you could talk to the dashboard, not just to queries, but actually to change the dashboard and the presentation just by talking to the system. We did an embedded form agent. This is an agent that knows how to take data from all kinds of documents, pictures, and fill out forms to eliminate a lot of manual labor. And in this showcase, we have a product form here. We can drag in a picture. It analyzes the picture, reads the text, and fills out a complete product registration. So this is last year. Then we showed off a prototype of our AI service configurator, where you could build AI services effortlessly From 2020, we've been able to work with research and develop based on a lot of essential technologies that I don't believe many Icelandic companies are using today, or certainly weren't using at the time. And these are all play essential role for us now going forward. We felt we were doing new and extremely exciting things, and I believe we're still doing that, but we also believe that we were doing them in all the old ways. And it's these old ways versus the new ways that I want to talk to you about today, later on. But this has been a weekly road. This has been a long and winding road. And I want to start by thanking the people that have been with us from the beginning, and this unbelievable remote team that has been working for us, some of them for the past almost 5 years. We were born in COVID. We've always been remote. We mastered being productive that way a long time ago. And I can't believe that such a small remote team like this can come close to being as productive as I feel we are today, and have been actually for quite a long time. Then I want to thank our board and our investors for the patience. It's not granted that you get to go 2 or 3 times and say, we have a product, and find out that you really don't. So yeah, that's me. But I'm going to tell you, this is the last time. I promise, it's the last time. So now I want to pivot just a little bit, and I want to talk about AI in general. We will come back to the product and the journey that we're on, and I will explain that to you in a bit. But this last year, since last Snjallvaka, has been profound. There have been many times that I've tried new technologies that have just become available, where I get goosebumps, literally, just by noticing and understanding not just what was happening, but actually the potential around what was happening. And I even get goosebumps now just talking about it, if somebody wants to. No, never mind. So I want to talk about these unlocks, but I don't want to go in too deep. I want to talk about AI. This is a part of that AI general talk that I told you in the beginning we were going to have. This is not in depth. This is more like me offering a further conversation around each of those topics. So these will be quick takes, and we may not even agree on all of them. But one of the things that has happened is there is no doubt anymore that conversational technology, conversational is the new user interface. We will stop using keyboards and mouses pretty soon. We should be able to talk to systems, regardless of the complexity of that system. For me, there is no ifs or buts about this. A second big thing that happened, and this slide is incorrect somewhat, is MCP, the Model Context Protocol, which you can think of as a layer on top of an AI metadata. It's not really, but that helps explaining it, that allows agent systems to talk to APIs really, really easily. And this is one of those buzzwords that just surfaced and behaved like a super buzzword all over the place. But this is really, really important at the end of the day. Then we have this amazing thing, and I don't know if you have thought about this, but it goes like this. If it can be done with AI, if AI is now good enough to do it, we can do it as often as we like. We can do it 100 times, 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times. And we don't have to hire 1,000 or 1,000,000 people to do it. It will cost us money, but we now have intelligence on tap. We now, for the first time ever, if AI is intelligent enough to do it, it's in abundance. And this is a huge change. We also saw an extremely important development in the attention span of these systems. We now have models, reasoning models, that can focus for extended periods of time. This is not just GPT, as you see there. These are all the frontier models that do reasoning, and this is the time to saying something stupid, if you want to put it in context. This is how long can I focus on a development task before completely derailing. And this is a metric that will be extremely important going forward. And it's on a very, very interesting trajectory. Now, we are also seeing open source models of high quality, not trailing frontier models by much. And we are seeing now the possibility, and actually a trend, that businesses that deal with sensitive data or competitive data will start to use these models more locally than we have seen. And I'm going to come back to this a little bit later on. Then it has been a dream since agents started to surface, that many agents could work together and we could create a network of agents. This was broken for the longest time and wasn't really working, but now we have agent design patterns and agent technology that really helps with this, and this is really important as well. Then recently Google published the agent-to-agent protocol, while Anthropic was the one that published the MCP protocol. They published the agent-to-agent protocol, and this facilitates in a standard way that agents, AI systems, talk to each other to solve problems local and remotely. And this will become apparent how massively important this is. Then there are the AI coding tools. And just to get to know you a little bit better, please raise your hand if you use AI coding tools or AI whatever. Great. So for me, this has been, there is this unbelievable way now facilitated by these solutions here, led by this lovable company, where you can basically take your idea, you can describe it, and you can have AI write it for you. We will get back to that later on, how massively important that is, and the quality of it, and all the questions that it surfaces. And now we also have models that are unbelievably good in extracting knowledge from text in a structured knowledge graph way. And this comes back to the entity linking and the named entity recognition and disambiguation that we saw earlier, because now we have AI technology that can extract all the data, and we just have to make sure that it goes into the right place, right? So we are basically taking the knowledge and put it in the right box. And then, 1st of August, Google released a project called MLE-STAR, Machine Learning Agent. Machine Learning Engineering is the MLE, and this project revolutionizes and proliferates the creation of machine learning and deep learning models. You can basically, it doesn't work for everything. It's still new, it still has kinks, and it's not good at everything. But you can take it, you can throw data at it, and tell the agent what kind of model you're looking for. Are you looking for pricing elasticity? Are you looking for a prediction model? What are you looking for? And it goes, takes the data, it tries it out, it trains different models, it compares the models, and basically, not to bore you, I do realize that even though I'm interested in this, maybe not all of you are, but it takes work that used to take 3 to 5 months and changes it into 5 to 24 hours. And this will only get better. It's not good at everything right now, but this is a massive change. Yes, please.
CSV, do you use agents on databases?
So the question was the input for this, do you use data from databases? So we don't really care when doing this exercise. So the reference is there are some databases that now have built-in machine learning and model training. This goes beyond that because it does so much more. It's model agnostic. It will go out and find the 3 different models, train them, compare them, and build a supermodel on top of them if you want. But again, this is definitely an offer, an invitation for a more detailed conversation. But I don't want to put them all to sleep, right? So we can definitely come back to that one. And then the holy grail that I always get asked about is this. Company data is so varied that it's hard to do data integrations. It's hard to move data between systems, and it still is. Not all of this is solved. But we now see data in this ETL, extract, transform, and load is a standard process. It's sometimes mixed up. But the transformation part is the part where we map data from the input so that it looks like it should in the output. And we are now seeing systems that do this automatically or almost automatically. In 100% of the cases, it's at least 85% good. So this is the key and will be the key for us not having to worry about transforming data from one system to another. The typical question I get when I talk about this is, but will it clean up our data? And for me, at least for the time being, no, sorry, you have to clean your own data. But we'll probably get there. And then there is a thing that I put in here just so that you, maybe you will hear about this. This is massive. This is continual learning with sparse memory fine-tuning. Now, how to explain this? You have probably heard, all of you have heard about natural language processing and LLMs and these big models and how they are fine-tuned for a specific job. During the fine-tuning process, they suffer what is called catastrophic forgetting. So when you fine-tune them, they get better at certain things, but at the same time, they get drastically worse at other things. And this approach does the fine-tuning without the catastrophic forgetting. And this will be a key element. So continuing in this split screen mode, I want to talk about AI first. This is actually the headline for us getting together, of course. And I want to tell you how we are approaching this. And again, we can discuss this later, but I'm going to briefly introduce you to the way we think about this. AI first, it's just another buzzword. AI has created a lot of them lately, right? And this one is all about how we change things and how we look at things through the lens of AI. And for me, it's extremely helpful to ground this in electricity. And let me explain it like this. After the Industrial Revolution, we had these big machines, usually driven by coal or oil, that created, in this case, this massive machine was actually creating spinning gears that were used to power these belts that drove this equipment. Anyway, so when electricity came adaptable to manufacturing, it happened in 2 phases, 2 extremely important but also vastly different phases. It happened in the first phase, we would replace the equipment. We would take inefficient coal-driven or steam-driven equipment and we would replace it with the electric version of the same equipment. That was the first phase. The second phase of this was when we took a step back and we looked at all the manufacturing process and the manufacturing floor, and we redesigned the manufacturing process on the premise of electricity and the electric devices. And this is actually when the biggest change happened. And why is this relevant now? Well, because I think that we are starting this second phase now. We have been playing around, we've been proving or researching and trying out all kinds of different things. The technology has gotten better. We can now use it, put it in practical use, and we're starting to look at processes and all kinds of things and redesigning the way we behave and how our company behaves in the broadest sense based on AI. The AI first approach is pretty simple. If it can be done by AI, we do it with AI. And I know this may sound daunting. I am not talking about replacing anybody. I'm changing jobs for sure. There will be people that lose their current jobs, absolutely, if you think about it like this. But most importantly, we will be eliminating a lot of manual jobs that nobody should be doing in the first place. That's my personal view. Then we'll look at AI scale, and this is a repeat of what we talked about earlier. If you can do it with AI, you can do endless amounts of it. This will create a $5 to $10 billion company where processes are automated, where support is automated, where all kinds of things that have been very, very labor intensive don't need to be that way. And I do understand how that sounds. And I'm not advocating for that in any particular way, but this is absolutely going to happen. So AI scale, it's a force multiplier for everything we do if we do it that way. And the AI is just getting better. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. Now, what gives me solace in all of this, because this is not a simple topic. What gives me solace in all of this and the changing of jobs and all these things that we as a society need to guard against, and we need to make sure happen in the best way for all of us, is to be reminded of Jevons paradox. Now, this may even be a naive hope, but the Jevons paradox, for those that don't know, actually, this goes back to the coals, and even though gasoline is the example there, it has nothing to do with coals or gasolines. It has to do with the fact that when something that was expensive or inefficient becomes more efficient, it doesn't reduce demand. It actually increases demand because then we can use it for so many other things. This has been true many times before with all kinds of changes in technology in the past, and I certainly hope it will hold true this time as well, allowing us to do more better. Now, in an AI first transformation, it's good to understand that this has nothing to do with technology. This is a change management project that has to do with people and how we deal with culture, and that will be big. I heard the other day, I hope I understood this correctly, that Klarna, one of the most progressive, I would even call them cutthroat. Don't like them, all the parts of them, but they are a fintech company out of the Nordics that's doing extremely well. They hired a C-level professional or a C position the other day that was both in head of technology and human resources. One person. because they understand that the changes that are going to happen next are not technology changes solely. So I found that really, really interesting. Another thing to keep in mind is the moat, the defensible part of every business is going to change drastically over the next few years. And the moat needs to come from different places and different approaches than it has in the past. The ones that are have the most extreme view of this say in a few years, speed and adaptability will be your only moat, because everything that you're doing in technology will be replicable. I don't want to go there, but it's a food for thought, though. And regardless where you are, what you think about AI, what's happening, for me, we are at an inflection point. Things are about to change drastically. I hope we manage to make those changes be good for all of us, the communities and societies that we live in. I've also been waiting for the longest time to, personally going back to 2013, this idea of data-driven, AI augmented businesses and how we could create a new generation of businesses that didn't have the burden. Have you noticed how every big company, if they turn 10-year-old, they have a legacy systems? And the IT department has now turned from being the yes we can department to the no we can't. For me, this is a sad truth, and I was kind of hoping that we would see a new generation of businesses where that was not the case. So in March, Microsoft published a paper that I encourage you to read. It's called The Frontier Firm, or The Year the Frontier Firm is Born. Please read it. The Frontier Firm is a reference to this AI first and the things that are about to change. And I wholeheartedly agree with almost everything that they say in that paper. For me, this was a massive relief. I had been, I was kind of like Don Quixote, fighting windmills for 10 years. And when this happened, I was like, yes, okay, so somebody else is on that boat. And talking about boat, at the same time, or 1st of August, or around, no, in May, Gartner even came out with a similar kind of a type of solutions for the Frontier Firm called BOAT, Business Orchestration and Autonomous Technologies. They explained the growth in that sector for the next few years, and it combined pretty much everything that we had been working on. And I was really happy to see that. And now we're going to segue back, and excuse me if you need to take a bio break or get another drink. I'm not sure if we should pause, but feel free to refill, right? So now we're going to go back to the context suite, and I'm going to show you a little bit what we've been doing for the last year. Our solutions, they go into two categories. There are the solutions that are LLM or AI based, and then there are the solutions that are machine learning and data science based. And we've been doing a lot of extremely interesting projects. But the first thing I want to show you is Mimir. Mimir is our agent system. And Mimir has been used to drive all sorts of things, and the role of Mimir is about to drastically change. Now, Mimir is what we call a deep agent. Deep agent is basically the orchestrator that sits on top of all the other agents and makes sense of it all. And we are basically changing Mimir into a deep agent from having been a traditional kind of what you might think of as a chatbot or a more simple version of an agent. So GOI, for me, is the excellent support agent used by Brimborg and their subsidiaries. For me, working with Brimborg has been an absolute treasure, extremely demanding, always wanting more, always pushing us to do better. It's been trying, but we have an agent that roughly, and Egil, you will just contradict me on this one, thank you. But according to my calculation, Mimir saves up to 30 man days, 30 to 50 man days every month in basically conversations that it has. And only for this agent, we are seeing only 4 of every 10 conversation where people ask to talk to a human. Personally, you know, I have these tendencies to just press the button until I get to talk to a person, but we've managed in this to make that 40%, and we will do better. We will absolutely do better. Mimir has also been used for other projects, and this project with Elko is a favorite as well. And I wanna stop and show you this. And I want to tell you that this is a single take, and I cut it only once. I admit, I cheated just a little bit. There's one place in the video where I made the wait a little bit shorter, and I'll tell you after the video where that is.
Hello.
Sæl og velkomin í Elko. Hvað get ég aðstoða þig með í dag?
Heyrðu, ég að leita hárblásara.
Frábært. Við finnum flottan hárblásara fyrir þig. Ertu með einhverjar séróskir, eins og ákveðið merki, afl eða verðbeili sem hendar?
Nei, bara einhvern mjög góðan.
Ég fann nokkra mjög góða hárblásara. Til dæmis Remington Prolux á 10.990 krónur og Dyson Supersonic í luxusflotti. Viltu heyra meira einhvern þeirra?
Já, ertu til í að bera saman fyrir mig Babyliss og Dyson hárblásara?
Ég búinn að þakka saman samanburð á Babyliss Air Power Pro og 2 Dyson Supersonic hárblássurum. Þú getur nú skoðað helstu atriðin hlið við hlið og séð muninn. Ég get hjálpað með frekari upplýsingar ef þú vilt.
Já, segðu mér hver helsti munurinn á þeim er.
Meginmunurinn að Babyliss ódýrari með 1700 watt og Ionic tækni. Dyson Supersonic 1600 watt með Air Multiplier tækni og fleiri hitastillingu. Hver hljómar betur fyrir þig?
Heyrðu, ég til í að sjá allt þennan kopar Dyson hárblásara.
Hér Dyson Supersonic hárblásarinn í koparlitnum með allar upplýsingar sem þú vilt. Viltu líka vita einhver fylgihluti við hann?
Nei, en mig langar að kaupa þennan bara.
Ég búinn að bæta Dyson Supersonic kopar hárblássaranum í körfuna þína. Þú getur gengið frá kaupunum hvenær sem er.
Takk kærlega fyrir.
Fyrsta málið. Endilega láttu vita ef eitthvað fleira kemur upp í hugan.
So this is Mimir embedded sales agent using browser tools to navigate the web. No keyboard or mouse was involved in this. This was a single take, but I do admit that I shortened the video where we were waiting for products just a bit. All right, the next thing that I want to show you where we're using this technology is a different version of Mimir we have been developing with Skatturinn and Lögreglan. And I want to tell you about what's happening here as well. So this is an on-prem system, and what we're doing here is to allow secure use of language models, GPT, from within companies that are dealing with sensitive data. And what's just about to happen is that as soon as we give out any personal information, it's basically identified locally and it's hidden away from the external language model. So you can see when we press the button, it actually says man A and social security number, whatever. And you can have a perfectly normal conversation without any private or sensitive data ever leaving your premise. So this is a small GPT wrapper, but it performs an extremely important function. It has most of the functionality that GPT has, but it adds on this security layer. And that's the point of Mimir. It can facilitate a lot of different use cases, but in this use case, it can operate on your local network. It can talk to local systems, and you can talk to any agent system with the A2A protocol, even your co-pilot agents. It can talk to whatever language model, even a local language model, and through MCP, it can talk to any MCP service. So it's like an agent gateway that makes sure that none of your private or sensitive data ever leaves your network. So we're absolutely could not continue to do new things, but now we're going to continue doing them in a completely new way as well. And this is actually what I'm most excited to show you. This is a preview. We have much of it working already. What I'm about to show you is our prototypes. You may call some of this slideware. That would be fair. But I tell you that much of the things that I'm going to show you now is either done in a proof of concept, or we have the essential elements packed down to complete it. So what we're working on, for me, is the next generation of business intelligence tools, certainly co-working tools, most probably. And for us, this is the absolute future of the way we work. So what we have here is an agentic system, and I can ask it to analyze certain data for me. In this instance, it's a simple case of looking into the sales of cola drinks in a specific location. Connecting to Business Central for the first time, giving the credentials, as you can see, and as soon as that's done, the system goes ahead and it builds, let's call it a dashboard. It builds a dashboard to answer this question, and by analyzing the data, it points out the interesting things about this. And even if we ask to look at just the sugar-free variants, it fetches that data and it changes the dashboard to show us that and points out the interesting parts of it. Now, the interesting thing here is not that we have self-service dashboards. It would be very, very easy to assume that this is about automatic dashboards and the self-service of dashboards. It's not. For me, dashboards are dead. This is about creating a data science agent that knows your data and can help you at all times understand it and bring out answers to the question you know you have, and even the questions that you don't know you have. And that's the big change. Now let's look at another example of this. Of course, the same is true creating machine learning models and prediction models. But now let's look at Mimir again and this agentic interface. Now, so the interesting part here, we have Gowi. You saw him earlier. And we have Gowi here. We can talk to Gowi for all the things that a customer would talk to Gowi. But we also have this meta agent, which is actually Gowi, where you can talk to Gowi the employee. And you can ask him to change certain things about him. You can ask him to change his appearance. You can ask him how he's performing, and you can have a conversation with this agent as if he was a team member. not just as if you were a customer. And you can get you can get the numbers and the statistics, and if you tell it, like I just did there, that I want always to use maps with my on my dashboard to see where customers were coming from. Basically what it did was to add the map to the dashboard and put in memory that I, as a user, always like to have the map there. So this is the kind of agentic, and of course, as you saw there, a network of agents and all those things. Of course, we will have the user interface for it, but it's not about the user interface. The user interface is to give us security. This system is completely controllable with conversation, and it shouldn't have to be more. So we can try out Mimir as a customer to talk to the Mimir, but we can also have a conversation with Mimir about how he's performing. And this is a fundamental shift on how we think about systems and how we approach them. The same is true for agents, dashboards, data science, machine learning, even workflows, where I can say, hey, I want to take all this Snjallvaka registrations and put them in Airtable or a database. And it goes and builds this workflow for me automatically. And I can say, hey, I want to get an email when somebody signs up. And it will automatically create that. You don't even have to look at the workflow if you trust the system. But the part of it that's so profound is this. With agentic technology and conversational UI, we can make it so that normal business people that know the business, they know the customer, they know the product, they know the demand, they're extremely knowledgeable about everything but IT, can now do these things themselves without waiting. So we have basically decided to take everything that we've been working on since 2020 and we throw away the user interface. We've done a lot of the groundwork. The engine is there. We are no longer going to drive this thing with a stick. We are going to make it automatic, autonomous. And we're going to change everything about how you use it. It has these 6 core capabilities, but everything is agentic. Natural language is the primary user interface. And because of changes over the last year in AI-assisted development, that's getting to be ridiculously good. And it will only improve. This is a system built from the ground up to build itself. Let that sink in for a moment. This is an IT system built to improve itself over time. For me, this is the last generation of software that will ever be made. And I'm not even kidding. So we'll talk about that later on, okay? There are a lot of companies that are doing the build part. Build software, build prototypes, build this and that, and with agentic technology. There are a lot fewer companies that are doing the managing part, the linking, the sharing, the permissions, the observability, to actually put in the things that businesses will absolutely require and demand to have in place before they trust this. And there is the operation part, which is also baked in. So this is what we're building. And April 1st, you're all invited to come back. Oh, I must need water. So you're all invited to come back and have a look at this in action. So our vision, AI applied right, lets us do more better. Our mission is to build a collaborative platform that unites human talent. You see it's so new that I need to read it from the screen. With intelligent and autonomous systems, turning human-led strategy into real-world action. So this is what we're building. I would like to take a moment and thank our amazing partners that have been with us on this journey. So my old boss from the V's days, by the way, my only proper job, the rest of them have been in startups. So absolutely great companies that have been our angel customers. Now in startups, angel customers are extremely important. If you work for a big company, please take a risk on a small startup. It allows the startup to work on real world problems, real use cases, real value. A million that you put in to a startup account will do so much more than a million you put anywhere else, at least for the startup. But there is risk involved. Please take the risk. It's so extremely important. And the reason why I want to stop here and thank these excellent companies. Now I want to pivot back to the split screen. But now don't think of this split screen as completely disconnected from the product we are building. This is actually extremely relevant to the product we build. Again, I don't want to go into these deeply. This is an offer for a longer conversation. These would be my hot takes, or not that hot takes, on the challenges that lie ahead. First, is there an AI bubble? It's a really, really hard question. I was here in the .com era. There are similarities, and then there are contracts. Contracts is definitely not the word that I'm looking for, contrast. And there certainly is an AI bubble in some sense. But if you think of this as a build out for the next industrial revolution, maybe not as much as you think, but certainly there are elements there. And my problem is this, it's twofold. I'm not sure if it will be meaningful to all of you, but it's twofold. First of all, LLMs are extremely inefficient. They're crazy inefficient. If somebody would have proposed that knowing the world would be to train it on billions and billions of texts in the way that we're doing, people would have said, no, that makes absolutely no sense. But it's still the best way we have for knowledge representation on a large scale, but extremely inefficient. And you have heard the talks about all these data centers and all these AI centers. 1 kilowatt AI center costs about $10 billion, just the infrastructure for it, not the running part of it. It's crazy, crazy numbers. And the worst part of it is, it has obsolescence built in. What I mean, the technology being bought from NVIDIA is already obsolete. It's already at least 2 to 5 times less efficient, thank you, than the generation that's just coming. So this massive build out has 2 different things that are running with it. I don't know exactly where it's going, but yes, some of it looks like a bubble, some of it looks like a build out, but we've already spent more money on this than the Manhattan Project and the Moonshot together already. And this is just getting started. Peak software. We are definitely seeing peak software. At no time in history has there been written more software than is written today. And the worst part of it is we're at peak bad software. So we need to figure that out. And I think this comes to the next place with the next part, which is a key part also in our product. And I hope you can see where I'm going with this. In almost every company and big corporations, there is the pressure of do something with AI. And we have this something with AI, I can do this, let me just figure it out, dark technology where, anybody, many people are doing something with AI. And we're deploying autonomous technologies in different things in an uncontrolled way. And I think this will be devastating for many businesses to all of a sudden have this we should have thought and planned a little bit better element missing. Then there is the context gap. And I hope that when I say the context gap, you draw parallels, or you know where in the beginning we were talking about the context suite and the external data and the quick lookup and understanding the context of things. The context gap in AI is the single biggest factor for AI projects to fail in big companies. What is it? Well, context. The most simple explanation I can give you is you talk to AI and say, I need to go to I need to go to Paris next weekend, and the AI comes back to you and says, well, I booked a hotel. It's a great hotel. It's next to a casino. And you go, what do you mean it's next to a casino? Oh, aren't you talking about Paris, Texas? And you are not. This context, although this was a silly little example, context missing from AI, business context, customer context, product context, recent event context, are the single biggest reason that AI projects fail. Then there is the agency, the trust and the observability, meaning what is what is AI allowed to do? Do we trust it to do that? And how can we monitor and observe everything that's done by everybody with what effect? And this is extremely important. And this will be a missing piece in many of these solutions going forward. Then there are the new attack vectors. AI has opened up a can of worms when it comes to fraud. And this will only get worse. This is extremely important. Then there is the on-prem fine-tuning, as bigger businesses will want to use their own AI. Why? Well, think of it like this. It may have been extremely clever at some point to put all your data in the cloud. You could trust that nobody had the time or the money to draw any learnings from your data. And the temptation of misusing the access to the data was almost non-existent because we didn't have the technology to address it. That has changed. I am not saying the cloud providers will abuse this. I'm only saying now they can, and it should be a concern. Privacy also, the surveillance pressure is mounting with easier ways for AI to monitor everything, and I don't like this bit. We also have to think of AI and the AI arms race. I think there are interesting things there. I think it's absolutely true that we are in the middle of an arms race. The only way to explain all the money that goes into AI, well, there might be two. The first one is that there is already work for this AI. There is already practical things that AI can solve. And I want to believe that. But the other explanation is we are dumping hundreds of billions of dollars in an AI arms race because unlocking systems that will improve themselves over time is the ultimate unlock. And China and the US at the current moment are absolutely looking at this as an arms race, not just as business. No ifs or buts about it. Then there is this sad state of affair in the European Union, which is, I don't know about you guys, but when I look at what's happening in AI, I never even see Europe mentioned. It's an afterthought. It's irrelevant. Nothing of value is coming from the EU. And for me, it's a concern. It's a massive concern and something that we must think about. Can governments keep up is another thing. And the last thing just happened yesterday. And this point is not there because I find it, it's not just because I find it interesting. I find it as a sign of disturbing things, yet interesting. But Google announced yesterday that they will be putting data centers in orbit that will be powered by solar energy. So they're going to put GPUs, or their version is called TPU. They're going to put it into space, and they're going to harvest the sun to power it, because actually electricity is now a scarce resource, as all of you know. So we're done. So I was slightly lying. I wanted to get 2 rounds of this. I just before we complete the session, I want to say on a personal note, I feel like since 2013, when I first started working with AI and AI augmented business operations, I feel like I've been training for a sport that nobody was competing in a way. AI looks vastly different now than it looked back then. But at least now I know that the competition is starting, and I have the unique opportunity with the team that I'm working with to get to know if we are any good at this new sport. I certainly hope we are. I believe we are. And April 1st, please come back, and I'll show you what this really looks like. And now I'm completely done. Thank you all for coming. Skrifstofurnar okkar eru hérna aðeins neðar við Laugaveginn. Ef þið viljið kíkja í heimsókn þá er ykkur boðið. Við eigum bjór og einhverjar veitingar. Ef það komið tími að ná í börnin, takk fyrir að gefa ykkur tíma til þess að vera hérna og geðveikt að sjá ykkur öll. Gerum þetta aftur fljótlega, þú veist, fyrst af. Nei, það var ekki eins og